beyond months, but the reality is there's not housing that is suitable to the needs of many of the clients, in particular Viola's place. We have no transitional housing other than there's a transitional housing house that supports our youth shelter, but none for adults 24 and over. So I don't think anybody would disagree that affordable housing and supportive housing and transitional housing are all subject to the particular needs of individuals. You know, I often, and I don't mean to be sort of unthoughtful when I say this, there are folks that just simply cannot be housed at the present state that they're in. They can go, and you know, yes, I don't agree with people that say there are no mental health supports. There are mental health supports, but going to a session for an hour or two and then having no place to go that you can call home afterwards is not helpful on the road to getting better. So I don't think there's any question we need transitional housing. It can look different for different people. There are models, certainly in Halifax and through other places in the province of Nova Scotia and throughout many other provinces. So I'll stop at that and just say supportive transitional housing. I was going to say I'm going to stop at that, but I always think of something different. I think there are models of houses that we are seeing work, and I don't know if many of you are familiar with Cody's Place. It's really, it's something we should be proud of in our community. It was the action of the Nova Scotia Cooperative that saw an opportunity in taking a hotel and turning it into technically an affordable space. It now has 2 phases. It has 56 units, opportunities for people to live. It's not truly supportive in the sense that there's not 24-hour care, but there are supports there at some level. And it is truly affordable as well. So this is the model. The town of New Glasgow and its taxpayers supported that with a tax exemption for 20 years. That, I believe, shows the commitment of our community to supporting those that require a little bit extra. So I think that's an example of a supportive housing, type of housing that we need more of. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Lisa, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I do. So just to give a bit of history, when we first opened within our first year, we had success in housing over 65 people. That was in the year of 2019, and then 2020 hit, and the whole world has changed, and we have not gone back to normal since, and we won't as a society. So with that, our housing market has decreased. So I think it was in 2020, our vacancy rate in Pictou County was 2.4%, and then in 2021 it was 0.4%. So that is just normal housing, a normal, market rent. That wasn't affordable for anybody at that point. So we started to see an increase in people requiring shelter. And with that ongoing increase, we increased our bed capacity to 20 to try and meet that need. But we're taking on, like, you see a theme of Viola's Place coming here, and all of a sudden the homelessness increases, but it's in theme with what has gone on. So the longer people are unhoused, the more unwell they become, and that's exactly what's happened. So although there's affordable opportunities like rental subsidies and things like that, a lot of people can't live independently anymore, so they do require that supportive piece, which does not exist in our community for the population. So that's why we're seeing folks in shelters longer. And that's definitely, we have the staffing to be able to offer the support piece, but the actual structures, the buildings, places like that are what's needed most.
To start, I'll just go back to part of my presentation, that it talked about the gap of supportive in transitional housing. And the key point from the policing perspective is that this is what's causing a great deal of negative impact on the symptoms that we're seeing, and that's why we're seeing those call drivers that I had talked about in the quality of life category of nature of calls by police. The important takeaway about that volume is that it's very unsustainable. Where does it stop? And that's a legitimate concern that we have. One thing that I want to say is that policing certainly was never designed or intended to be able to address the root causes of these symptoms. And that's the whole point of being here this evening and bringing everyone together to share their experiences and their information, and simply looking at the diversity of the panel. And the point is to bring all three levels of government together for a coordinated response that focuses on transitional and supportive housing in our area, because that is the gap that currently exists.
Thank you. First off, I want to thank everyone for coming here tonight and being so respectful with the way you acted tonight. It's really encouraging to see. It's a very passionate issue with a lot of different points of view, and to see the community come together and speak in a calm and rational manner about it, it's really encouraging to me. The speaker to the right is the supportive housing, what is the big bottleneck right now. People leaving Belleville, there's nowhere to go, there's no supportive housing. But there's some things I wanted to talk about and make sure I want to get you out there to you guys tonight. So this is the number one concern for me since I've been elected in November 2024 is the homelessness and the issues here in Glasgow. Pictou Centre, Stelwart, and Trenton and Glasgow, that's where I represent. But my number one issue here in Glasgow is in Pictou Centre is the homelessness, addiction, and the issue that we're experiencing here in downtown Glasgow and throughout the town. As mayor of Stelwart for 8 years, and I know that we have some issues there, but nothing to this extent, not even close. And Glasgow is bearing the brunt of it for sure. It's been the biggest issue in Glasgow for the last 4 or 5 years, if I did put a number on it. And it's a big issue for our provincial government. I met with just this morning the Minister of Alternative Social Development, Scott Armstrong, the Deputy Minister and senior staff. So this is on the provincial radar. It's not just in the Glasgow problem. It's Pictou Centre, it's Pictou County, it's across Nova Scotia. Right now they're having similar issues in Truro and Bridgewater. So it's not unique to this area, but we're definitely feeling it. So some things I've done over the last several months, I met with a lot of different stakeholders in this. I met with the Viola's leadership to express some concerns. I met with groups of concerned citizens. I went to the Ward 1 Community Center meeting a few weeks ago. That was an interesting meeting. Got a little heated, but I'm really glad I went to and heard the points of view there. I met with the Glasgow Police Chief. I met with the Mayor, and I have Nancy, and we have frequent conversations about this issue. I met with the department several times, not just this morning, but several times over the last month or two. I met the Department of Growth and Development, that they're responsible for housing, so I met with them to discuss the supportive housing here in Pictou County. I talked to business leaders in Glasgow and across Pictou County. I met with other municipal leaders here in Pictou County. I also met with the Premier, and we had a good discussion about the issues here in Glasgow. So there's a few things that I'm committed to working on your behalf. The first one is there's a misconception or terminology, what is a dry shelter? So if the province of Nova Scotia, what the department says a dry shelter is you cannot use on site, you can show up intoxicated, visibly intoxicated, but you can't use on site. There's a dry, damp, and wet shelter, and so that's what a dry shelter is, from their point of view, is you can show up intoxicated, but you can't use on site. A wet shelter is basically a safe injection site. So what I want to work towards with the support of the Premier, he's given me the go-ahead for this, is work towards making the definition of a dry shelter. So you can't show up intoxicated if you're doing all that entrance. That's what a dry shelter is always meant as far as I know, growing up.
Here, here.
Right now, we're unable to help some people because of the environment at the shelter. I know a lot of people don't feel safe there. If they're, maybe women don't feel safe there. People in recovery, as mentioned tonight, they don't feel safe there because they're going to relapse. Right? There's just too many triggers. There's just too much temptation. We're looking across, the government's looking across the country for different models for public consumption laws. So the way it works is there's still federal laws against public consumption, but they won't be enforced with prosecution unless it's the most egregious of circumstances. So basically, they're not enforcing the possession. So there is places across Canada where they have made provincial laws against public consumption, like Alberta and BC. So we're looking at that as well. I made the suggestion when I met with the leadership of Iola's, I'm going to make it here again tonight. I think they should change the name of the facility. I told them to. I think they've lost the social license to use that name. The African Nova Scotia community here has made their view very clear on that. The leaders in that community made their view very clear. The community with the family of Viola Desmond has also made their point that they don't want that on there anymore. So I would ask the shelter to think very seriously about changing that name.
Like today.
I'm not the kind of guy who just likes to complain about things and shoot off without doing anything. So something we're going to do here on November 21st, we're going to have a supportive housing summit for Pictou County. I'm organizing with the committee. We've already invited, so the Opportunity Social Development, the formerly Community Services, they'll be there. Growth and Development, the housing staff will be there. All 6 municipal units will be invited, the CAO and the mayor or warden. Sean Fraser or his office will be there. Contractors such as Eastcut and some other ones will be invited as well. Non-profits, people in the housing community such as Eastern Mainland Housing Authority. Usually when supportive housing is built, it's a collaboration between 3 partners: government, private sector, and non-profits. So I want to get all those people into a room on November 21st to see if we can make something happen in the next little while for supportive housing here in Pictou County. I don't know where it will be located. I've told you there's no plans yet. But I do know the Department of Opportunity Social Development are supportive of that idea, which might mean some funding for it. Back to answer the question, supportive housing is a... Thank you.
I was just thinking, maybe it's an opportunity to talk about, there is an organization, the County Affordable and
Supportive Housing Association. So before I became MLA, when I was mayor, I believe in 2021, we officially formed the Pictou County Affordable Supportive Housing Association, a non-profit entity. So they'll be invited to November 21st, and they may be one of the partners that can help alleviate the things that we're seeing in our community today. Thank you for bringing that up, Mayor.
Monica and Jenna from Nova Scotia Mental Health and Addictions.
I'm happy to respond for mental health and addictions, and that mental health and addictions care is something that we're very passionate to providing regardless of people's circumstances, whether they are unhoused or they could be living in a mansion. We provide equitable care, and we're very committed to working with our partners to support those where it may be difficult to access care. What we do know is our outcomes do improve when people are safe, when they are living in a safe and supportive environment. So we are happy to partner and work with the community and government to provide supports for mental health and addiction care, no matter where individuals are residing.